Stanley Kelly, does a discovery of new planet in our solar system make Malachi York and Zecharia Sitchin correct about Nibiru? No, it's not. When you say with Malachi, it's not just a discovery. It's like there's so much information. Like he teaches on every subject and breaks down information for everyone, no matter what level you are at, and has been doing so from the 60s up until today and still doing so. It's a body of work. It's not just one thing. That's why we say, why are there no other people that have put themselves, on the front line to be questioned on everything, about everything like he has? And when you're questioned and you don't only answer the question, but you author books and put out publications which can be scrutinized by anybody on the planet, and the information stands for itself, so yeah, it's not just based on, a planet. It's based on, he goes into the beginning of the universes. So yeah, so it's, Zecharia Sitchin, the only reason even he is even significant is because the master teacher giving out the information he was giving out way before, like the Anunnaki stories became popular, and the only other person at the time that was writing on the Anunnaki was Zecharia Sitchin, because obviously he's a Jewish guy, and Mukasu or Caucasian or European. The master was like, when people hear it, because everything he was teaching, people were like, prove it. Where did you get it from? Scrutinizing everything he did, including his entire personal life, which they don't do to anybody else. He was like, if you guys need to hear it from a Caucasian or somebody else, go and check out the books by Zecharia Sitchin. And he was writing on the Anunnaki, Genesis Revisited, many books that he published, just to say, like, you think I'm crazy, but there are other people. But he also said at the time that there's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to go out and, Zaman, it's happened again. You're not going to be able to go out and check out this information with anybody else, because I'm going to go beyond what everybody else can go to, because I'm a visitor. I come from a planet that is light years ahead of you guys. I'm only here because I've been sent here to reform and basically raise you up and guide you so that you don't get caught up in the calamities of the planet, Tauta. You know what I mean? So yeah, he only gave you references of different people like that were talking about these things, because many people doubt. They're doubting Thomases. But even though everything he has ever taught collaborates, nothing has changed. He's just clarified it more and more, making it more clear as we go along, because he was always walking us backwards, like I said, from the youngest religion being Islam of 1400 years old, going backwards to, Christianity in terms of the New Testament, to, the life and times of Jesus 2,000 years ago, then going back to the Torah of the Abrahamic religions, going back 4,000 years ago or so, and then tying that into where they got that from, which ties into the Sumerian tablets, the Anunnaki stories of, like the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, the Atrahasis, the tablets of Atana, the epics of Gilgamesh, the Akkadian tablets, and then going further back to the ancient Egyptian pre-dynastic. Yeah, so he was teaching us, so past Egyptology, past what people know as Kemet and all of that, going back to Napata, going back to Meroe, going back to the Nile Valley, going beyond and saying, right, these beings come from these beings known as the Pataites, then going back further to who they are in terms of their descendancy from the Natharu, who are separate from the Anunnaki, who were the ones that seeded this planet first, and then taking us now into the heavens, into this, in what people call the skies, or going into Orion and Sirius, and go into their origins, and then going even further to the birth of the universe and the birth of the other universes. Because many scientists today are trying to figure out the birth of this one universe, our universe. But at the same time, they will tell you about the multiverse. And they will say they're theorizing it, because everything is a theory to them. Back to the word theos, right? A theory. When they don't know. When you don't know something, you say, you know, it's a theory until you have the evidence and facts that you know. But you're not going to know if you weren't there in the beginning, right? Because these Adamites only go back 6,000 years. But scientists have found fossils and dug up bodies and going to ancient Egypt that are going back millions of years. The pyramids, they say 10,500 years. We know they're much, much older. So what happens is, when you're saying, I come from a time that's light years ahead of you, 76 trillion years of information that I have to give you guys 24,000 years of, right? No one's going to be able to follow him. You can try. You can't even deal with his students, much less the master teacher, Pana Babyanun. So when people try and talk about people like Zecharia Sitchin and this one, those guys were only given to you as points of references because you're doubting Thomas. But those of us who study diligently, we take it way, way back. That's why we're here. We're here to make everything clear, because the master teacher has done so and taught us.